It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
Is my mic on? It is the Pete Sousa Show. How's everybody doing? We are well lit here in the Alico building, thanks to Scotty Swingler. Look, it's a compliment, man. I'm not sure if I should take my hat on or leave it off. I can't see what they call confidence monitor, which I famously call a no confidence monitor, because who wants to look at themselves while they talk? Right? I mean, I don't want to see myself when I talk. That bothered me the moment I started in TV news. I was like, wait, so I have to, as a dyslexic person, read words that are moving quickly, I should say. And then I also have to look at myself and talk and go to like which camera, that camera, I was not very good when I started. I was not very good when I finished. But we're presented by Savatrix. We're good at this, we like to think. To the tune of 91,000 subscribers. We hit that over the weekend. Good stuff. Thank you, guys. for watching. Thanks so much to Scotty Swingler for making this happen, for Chris Visser. Liz is in the room today. We have to acknowledge her. She's got a friend she used to date that is on ketamine therapy, and she reports that the ketamine therapy works. So that's something I will not that's just not on the menu for me as a sober person, but I've heard people using ketamine therapy. I know that's like on the menu for some folks. I just need therapy, which I use. I saw my therapist last week.
I saw my therapist this morning.
Scotty saw his therapist this morning, and that's why he kind of looks like fresh and ready to go, I think. And also thank you to Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. I'm sorry I lumped you in with all that. Socorro Family Ford, and First National Bank of Central Texas. At some point, we're going to get Dan Ingham back on here. I'm going to have to rattle some cages to make it happen. And Crawford Austin Properties too. You guys are all amazing. If I told you this, if you told me this yesterday, I wouldn't have believed it. I guess after a victory, it's a little more believable. Dak Prescott has won 19 straight home games against NFC East opponents. That's a record for home divisional wins. That's wild. I had no idea. And now it's starting to look like Dak and the Cowboys have some sort of special season going. We're going to talk to Ian Beckles, former offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, also Indiana Hoosier. He's going to come up at 11 a.m. Central Time and get to talk to him about the Eagles game. Maybe I'll try to convince him to come out of retirement to play for the Eagles offensive line, because if there's one thing that they're lacking, it is it's offensive productivity. And everyone you talk to and you watch, you can tell the offensive line is not quite as good as it was last year. Not even close, really. And the Cowboys defense, which we have sat here and took a huge dump on for most of the season, stopped the Eagles 8 straight times in order to come back and win that football game. 21-0. I thought to myself early in the game, how bad is this going to get? The Eagles had the ball after turning the Cowboys away on the goal line, up 3 touchdowns. And I did not see the Cowboys coming all the way back to win. They did. You got to give the defense some credit. And then you start to think, okay, wait a minute. Now, is this defense, so they got Quinnen Williams, right? We saw yesterday, Overshone was back out there. And who's the guy they traded for, Scotty? Wilson, right?
Logan
Wilson was out there. They just looked good. The defense looked good. Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Reddy Stewart, everybody's running around there making plays. I also, you can't overlook the big play that the Clark kid made. That was unbelievable. And our own Ed Werder from the Doomsday podcast. So he shows after that huge play, right? It was Clark, right? Scotty, let me get that right. Make sure I get that right. The Cowboys special teamer who flew down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was, right?
Yeah.
So this is, and it's kind of almost stale now, but you've seen it on social media. I thought it at the time. I was like, every kid that wants to do anything in life, particularly one that wants to play football, should watch this video. The guy is a free agent who just got a spot on the roster because Malik Hooker got hurt. And he's out there. He went to Syracuse. The best thing that's happened to Syracuse, I think, since Jim Boeheim retired, was this kid darting down the field and making a play on special teams that opened the game up for the Cowboys to win. And Ed Werder said on the Doomsday podcast with Matt Mosley last night, he said, I showed Brian Schottenheimer that video right after Schottenheimer did his media availability. By the way, this is more evidence, and Scotty has talked about this, just how cool Brian Schottenheimer is. Schottenheimer's watching Werder's video, and he says to Werder, like, that's a game ball. So now this young man is getting a game ball thanks to Ed Werder, part of the Rogue Media Network. So that's what we do here at Rogue Media. We hand out game balls to Cowboys who win football games. As an Eagles fan, I was more shell-shocked than anything, to be completely honest. I have such faith in Jalen Hurts that I figured that they would come back and win. when Aubrey missed that field goal early on, I think it was like a 42-yarder or 49-yarder, I thought to myself, oh, man, there's no – I just thought like, okay, mentally maybe it is a good thing as he goes into this last kick to win the game, right, that he's missed earlier. But then I thought percentage-wise and odds-wise, there is no way he's going to miss 2 in a row. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen today, and it didn't. So now the Cowboys win. They are still alive. There is so much juice around this Thanksgiving Day game on Thursday that they will break records. The NFL will, as far as viewership. And I mean, you can't put a price on hype, but there will be more than enough, right? Patrick Mahomes is back home. The kid from White House, Texas, is playing the Dallas Cowboys as the Chiefs are surging now to try and make the playoffs after stealing one from the Colts. And you also look at the fact that it's Jim Nantz, it's Tony Romo, right? Romo back in Dallas calling the game. It's Thanksgiving, and it's the Cowboys now who are 2-0 since the tragic loss of a teammate. And it's like, whoa, something might be happening here. And that's the feeling you get. I was even listening, driving back from Dallas to Waco this morning. I was listening to Mike Florio. By the way, props to Mike Florio. You listen to these analysts and guys talk about football. Florio's just like, he just means business, right? Former attorney. He's just, he mixes it up. I want to say he's an SHIT stirrer, but I'm trying to stay away from, I'm trying to really economize my 4-letter words. I don't know if that's worth it for right there. But, he's a reporter. He'll mix it up. He'll get the story. But I learned something this morning I did not know. He is the son of a bookie, which to me is almost like being a former NFL player or like the son of a player. Like when you're the son of a bookie, you know a lot about sports. You've been through a lot, especially if you were close with your dad. And it sounded like Florio was, and he was just talking about, how his father, they grew up in the Pittsburgh area, and his father would always get pissed because everybody bet on the Steelers. And the Steelers would always win in that like championship era they had in the late 70s. But, he was even mentioning how the Cowboys, there's a thing, the opposite of love is not hate. It's apathy. Right. And if there's one thing about the Cowboys, there is no apathy with this team. You either love them or you hate them. And you could be a Cowboys fan, right? And you'll feel the same way. You will love them or you will hate them. And right now, the Cowboys, for the first time in my history of fandom, and it has been, 40 plus years, that I can remember the Cowboys being a sentimental favorite. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that will do for them as a team, right? I do feel like there's some juju now behind this squad coming out of the darkness after the Marshawn Nealon tragedy. But, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But I can promise you everybody is going to be keeping an eye on it because for the first time in a while, the Cowboys are playing a game. Well, not the first time in a while, actually. 2 years ago, they played the one where Dolly Parton was the halftime entertainment, and they were kicking ass and getting ready to have home field advantage in the playoffs. But it seems like a while just because of everything that the team has gone through since then. But there's going to be a Thanksgiving Day game that is going to be super exciting to watch. And it's going to be, it's on in that hour, like later in the day where it's like you've already eaten your food. It's like, let's just everybody watch football. I've talked to everybody for too long now. I don't want to find myself in another bad conversation. Thanksgiving is the one day of the year where I believe it is okay to fall asleep during the day at someone else's house. So that's something that you can think about doing if you want to fall asleep during the first quarter of the game or whatever. But it's on at the right time. I think that the stars have aligned. And as much as I hated to see the Eagles lose, I do think it lends itself to a great story and an opportunity for fans in the NFL on Saturday. I did think of one comparison, and we can move into our like. So Jalen Hurts, right? As an Eagles fan, people like the fact that people are on Jalen Hurts last week. The guy is 8-2. This is coming up to this football game, and people are on Jalen Hurts about whatever, not producing the way that he should, or there's dissension, blah, 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 blah. It's all crap. He's 8-2. And it's not fair for Jalen Hurts to take that criticism. It's not warranted, but like life isn't fair. Like stuff happens, right? Especially when you're an athlete. Jalen Hurts understands that that's part of the job. And the thing about Jalen Hurts that I can relate to an individual who is in Central Texas in the Big 12, who is slowly becoming a foil. And he hasn't wanted to do that, is Dave Aranda. And here's the comparison. And it's just strictly on personality, nothing else, right? When things are not going the way that a fan base wants them to happen, right? They would hope that the man in the eye of the storm will give them emotion. We'll show. It's like if you're in a relationship with someone, right? And forgive me for saying this, but I'm a pretty emotional dude. So like I've never had like a woman tell me this, but I've certainly had my friends tell me that their significant others have told them this. Like, I wish you would show a little more emotion. I wish I knew what was going on under the hood. Like early on in a relationship when I'm with somebody, like Christy said this to me, like I do try to keep that stuff close to the vest, but at some point, I will give, and that's just how I'm wired as an Italian guy, I guess, whatever. So Jalen Hurts, I think it's more just a strategy. He's the son of a coach. He's smart. He's thoughtful. Same thing with Dave Aranda. Like, it's not his personality. Dave's probably more like me early in a relationship, right? It's just not his personality. He's not going to give much, but boy, it is frustrating. It is frustrating. And this is where you separate Hurts from Dave Aranda, because Jalen Hurts is in an elite category as a quarterback, right? Dave Aranda has had a moment as a head coach and obviously an amazing reputation as a coordinator. But as a head coach right now, I'd say the reviews are lukewarm at best, right? So now you're the Baylor fan base, and last week on a Friday, good on the university, I guess, for putting it out like Friday morning and not like Friday at like 6:30. Usually that's when I remember them doing stuff like that. It's the most savvy media teams drop bad news, but maybe that's a little bit more into the situation that's a mess. I was in a meeting. I did the UAB USF football game where there was a tragedy and a player stabbed his teammate earlier in the day. Well, more on that later in the show. Just a strange and very sad event to be a part of. And again, more on that later. But before any of that had happened, Forrest Conley and I, Forrest was the analyst. He was a star at Florida State and has been an analyst at ESPN for like 15 years. Forrest and I were having lunch at a barbecue spot after we met with Alex Mortensen, Chris Mortensen's son, who's the head coach of UAB, who I got nothing but amazing stuff to say about. But anyways, I'm at a barbecue joint. I pull up my phone and I see that there is a Baylor notification that says Dave Aranda is going to remain head coach. It was a letter from Linda Livingstone. I will tell you, 99% of my body was like, there's been so much fake stuff out there on Twitter and online. And remember, I was kind of coming out of like a bunker, because when you're doing these games and preparing, like, you're not going to be talking to the head coach of a team you're going to broadcast and be anywhere near your phone unless you pull it out to press record so you have it for later on. But like, you're just not messing with your phones in those environments. You're meeting people for the first time. And so I did not have my phone in a spot where I would look at it for like maybe 90 minutes. And boy, when I saw that, I was like, this can't be real. And I'm like the number one Dave Aranda supporter. I was like, there's no way this can be real. And then I was like, oh my God, it's real. And, I went back, and again, I'm kind of like working. So I just said something to Forrest about it. He's like, really? Like, and then we just went back to talking, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. And, the first thought I had, and honestly, it's the first and last thought, and we'll get Swingler here going in a second, because I really do want to hear what he has to say about this. It's almost by design. He and I haven't talked about this. We've messaged back and forth, but like, we have not talked about this yet. And this is our first opportunity to talk about it. And I appreciate the fact that, our show's earlier in the day on a Monday, because there hasn't been a ton of reaction to it, really. You've had Mosley, who did a great job. Smoke and those guys did a great job. But honestly, after it goes through those two channels, as far as shows are concerned, and then please bear with me, which for some reason, and I don't want to get into Scotty, he was not on, right? Which to me, by the way, Scotty, I noticed the void. Just so you know, you were missed. Okay. I saw Terrence. Terrence looks really good. He's got like a good haircut. He looks like he's ready to friggin' play again. But I watched a little bit of that. That's another channel where you can kind of get reaction and information on this stuff. But so I'm happy that we're here today to be able to talk to you about it. My first thought, my initial thought, and I know, look, we are in a world and we are in a society where we want to blame people. I understand that. Like, you want somebody to be culpable. First of all, you want people to be accountable. When you're around people that are accountable, you're usually around winners. But life just doesn't work that way, right? Like, people aren't going to always look directly at whether it's the camera or write it down or type up an email statement. Like, people just aren't going to accept blame for how things have turned out, right? And in this Baylor situation, there is one person to blame, and you really can't even blame him because he is suffering from the human condition, and it's Mack Rhoades. Shahan Jayaraza was on our show last week, and he got this right without getting it right, if that makes sense. We asked him on Thursday what he thought about the Baylor situation, and Shahan was clear on the fact that there was so much that was going to have to go on as far as bureaucracy was concerned within a college athletic department, board of regents, whatever, because you have an athletic director who went off the grid, right? Like, mentally, for whatever reason, we don't know, but I am going to give him a pass because I do believe he's suffering from some circumstance of the human condition. I know that I have suffered from before. I have seen people all around my life suffer from certain things before. This guy is in a position of power. So when he suffers from it, everybody is in the know about it, right now, talking about Mack Rhoades. But like, if Mack Rhoades doesn't completely lose his mind, right, then he is still the athletic director, and Baylor is able to make a prudent decision right about now, maybe, or before last Friday's game, or maybe right after, to say, hey, Dave Aranda and the university are going to part ways, right? Like, there's no more future with Dave and the university together that looks like it would suit anybody. Because at the end of the day, like, I was talking to Chris Visser about this before the show. You keep serving people meatloaf over and over again, they're going to be like, I'm good on the meatloaf, right? Like, and that's where the Baylor fan base is at. And unfortunately, they are at that point. If you're just joining us, we were talking about how with the Cowboys, there's never apathy, right? Which is the opposite of love. Right now with Baylor, with the Cowboys, it's either love or hate. With Baylor, there's apathy, man. And it's bad with the football team. I hate that it's bad, but it's bad. And so does Dr. Livingstone, and so does Dave Aranda, for that matter. So do members of his staff and members of the football team. They've got to hate what's going on. But the one thread in this whole thing that has triggered this whole situation is the Mack Rhoades behavior that led to him and the university parting ways. That now, I believed Shahan had told us Thursday morning that the process to alleviate the situation with Mack and both sides coming to an agreement was going to take a long time. It did not. Later on in the day, they came to that agreement, right? So I think a lot of us, myself included, got our, for lack of a better term, because I don't ever want to see like people lose their jobs, but this is sports. This is what happens, right? Every GM or coach gets fired at some point. That's just how it goes. You hate to see people have to relocate and there's kids involved, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I had my hopes up after I heard about the separation agreement on Thursday that something was going to happen rather quickly with the football hiring of a head coach. I figured, okay, now they can go ahead, hire an athletic director and hire a head coach. I have since talked to people in college athletics, big-time college administration, who have told me it is not that easy. It is not that easy. This is not the NFL where you can fire a president and general manager, right? Somebody who has both those roles, and relieve a coach and hire a coach the next day under a new general manager that you hired the same day. Like, this is different because there's so many different avenues and checks and balances when it comes to a situation like this. Bad move by Dr. Linda Livingstone? If you think so, I would look no further in the fact to the point that she's not an athletic director. And I think that she is literally playing with the cards she was dealt. So if there's one person to blame, it's Mac Rhodes, right? It is Mac Rhodes. And if there's one situation to be disappointed about, it is the lack of creativity and urgency by the athletic department to not find a way to pull the trigger quickly and to make a move quicker on the hiring of an athletic director, subsequently a coach. It's very clear that it was going to be extremely difficult to do that, right? To expedite that process, which I think, and this is props to Dr. Livingstone. You got to say it, man. I'm sorry. She came out, she made the decision. She was right there to take all the crap. She put her name on it. She put the letter out there, and she got behind Dave Aranda, and that's why she's the president of the Kick-Ass University. I know you're not happy with the football team right now, but you can't take away what this school is, what it means, and the quality of Baylor as an institution, right? She's the president of said institution. She's got experience as an athlete, was a Division I basketball player at Oklahoma State. Like, she's not new to all this, right? She's done a hell of a job as a president. Maybe this isn't exactly a situation that she's totally comfortable with, but she had to, my old news director, God bless him, Bob Walters, who is still at KWTX. I remember him telling a producer this one time, and it really was like instruction I think everybody can take with them. Like, when you're in a situation where a decision needs to be made, right? And it's very clear that, like, on both, like, this thing could go either way. Make a decision. Make a decision. If you're a guy going on a date with a girl for the first time, dude, make a decision. She'll be more interested in you, okay? Like, if you're on the fence, hemming and hawing, and you can't make a decision, it usually leads to your situation becoming more and more difficult to work out from under. With that said, I want to bring in a guy who's forgotten more about Baylor football than I have, Mr. Scotty Swingler. It's been way too long, Scotty, for me to have gone on and not brought you in. But your reaction to this move and your thoughts on what I said, because I'm always here for feedback. And like, because you're not only a knowledgeable guy when it comes to situation, but you're a diehard fan. Look at the beard. Apparently he's not going to shave till Dave is no longer the coach, which situation could get interesting.
Oh, don't say that or we'll get really gnarly. Listen, Pete, everything you said is sound, logical. We understand, and Mosley talked about this the other day, and the guys filling in for me last night talked about this. We understand why this happened. That doesn't mean anybody's happy about it. So you said you didn't see a lot of reaction Friday, brother. I've never seen more reaction on my Twitter timeline.
I'm just saying shows. Just strictly shows.
Well, I felt bad, Pete, because I hosted your show Friday morning and went through. I had probably 5 or 6 really tight end, plugged in people reach out to me. Hey, here's what Baylor's doing. Here's what I'm hearing. Here's the potential next AD. If they get this AD, it could be this head coach. And I went through all of that on your show. And then about 30 minutes after we wrapped up your show Friday, this news came out and it felt completely moot. So I was like, well, there went.
But dude, welcome to the human race.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was caught with that haymaker.
Pete, I think this was unexpected. I'm even hearing from some people over the weekend that this was unexpected. Donors were not aware this was going to happen, and there's some backlash coming at Linda from Dr. Livingstone from that angle. Sorry, I want to be respectful. I think my real question to this, Pete, and what the most common answer I'm hearing to this question is recruiting class. Why do it with 2 weeks in the season to go? Because what happened over the weekend is you made this announcement on a Friday. I saw a lot of anger in the Baylor fan base, a lot of tweets to the extent of, I'm canceling my season tickets, like those kind of reactions. Then Baylor goes out Saturday, Pete, and does what they've done all season long. Playing a team where talent-wise, you look as good or better most of the game. And then you have some turnovers, most of them fumbles, right? Which is a lack of discipline. You have some unfortunate penalties, and you have a team that cannot execute. And Baylor gets blown out again. So now it just compounds and doubles down on itself. And then there's that photo, I don't know if you saw it, of Dave Aranda after the game, kind of like, dude,
that's not fair.
It's not, Pete, but
That's not fair.
It's not. But we talked about this maybe last week or the week before. I told you when a narrative forms, fair or unfair, everything that then kind of snowballs either adds to or presses against the narrative that is formed. And unfortunately, what happened over the weekend, the narrative of Dave Aranda can't coach this team, doesn't keep people accountable, and isn't capable of demanding excellence from his team, that snowballs when you play the way you played. And then after the game, a coach that rarely smiles or laughs is smiling and laughing on the field. Fair or unfair? It adds to the narrative.
I don't think it's fair, but
it adds to the narrative. So I think Baylor fans are tired and over it. I'm nervous, Pete. I'll just confess my feelings as a fan. I'm not playing a journalist right now. This signals to me internal hire for AD. And that's not confirmed. I am hearing some of that from people in the building.
Jovan Overshow?
Yeah, that would be the first thought.
I'm a fan.
I like her. I don't know if I want a first-time AD to be the AD at a Power 4 school, let alone my school.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like settling to me. And it feels like settling to me because of what I heard from trustworthy people. Some of the names that would have taken this job and still might take this job, who they are. I wonder if you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I would love your perspective on this actually, because I've heard very different perspectives on this. Matt Mosley has a perspective. I've heard Terrence's perspective. There's some different perspectives on this. You could argue that keeping Dave Aranda actually is more attractive to an AD because you don't then immediately have to walk in and make the biggest decision of your time at Baylor in a week, right? You could argue that stability attracts a candidate. I think it's equally fair to argue that there's plenty of ADs in America who are like, wait, I can't come in and make my own decision about Dave Aranda or the next head coach. Like I can't. And I just wonder if that drives candidates away.
Yeah, I mean, look, and to what you said, that is like I hadn't heard that. It's a knuckleball like that. It signals that like they would hire from within. And my initial reaction is why not her? You know what I'm saying? I know you probably feel the same way, and maybe you don't, but like she is capable of being an AD somewhere else. I know you're saying it's a Power 4 school as her first job, which is a little aggressive.
It's a leap.
Right?
It's a leap.
It's elite. It is. But I think, I mean, why not her? And I don't know that like her ability.
Okay. Here's why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
I'm going to take, because
like, why couldn't she hire a kick-ass head coach after Dave?
Maybe she can.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying she can or can't.
Yeah.
If she is given the job, will have the opportunity to prove that for herself. And I'll root for her.
Me too.
But it's just a bad, and we're talking optics, Pete. We're talking narratives.
Yeah. There's no change.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pete, this is the first class since 2010. The kids that came into Baylor in 2010. This is the first group of students who will have spent their 4 years at Baylor and not witnessed a 10-win football season. And the reaction might just be, we're going to run it back with the same head coach and hire an AD from within the building. It's not a good look. And Linda, Dr. Livingston, I'm sorry, when I'm casually talking to my friend.
No, I've called her Linda to her face.
Dr. Livingston,
like, oh, God,
I'm going to be respectful because I do like her. I do like her and respect her, and I think she's done wonderful things for Baylor as the president. I'm a pro Dr. Livingstone Baylor person. But you can write all you want in your letter. We're not selling for mediocrity. When the first group of students since 2010 is going to go through your school and not witness a 10-win football season, and you keep the head coach and you hire from within for AD, that is exactly what you're doing. Your actions are speaking way louder than your words. If you're not willing to bring in an outside voice at AD or head coach, it's not a good look. And fair or unfair, the reaction from the fans, and I don't think this is just social media, boisterous keyboard warrior stuff.
No, I don't think so either.
I think those football games at the start of next season are going to be ugly, like how empty, lack of engaged fans are if it's this head coach and not a new AD. That's a brutal combo, man. Brutal. And, maybe they come out and win 3 games, that you beat Auburn and beat Arizona State early in the season next year. Boom, people are back. Like, Baylor fans are fickle.
Yeah.
But the trajectory, and I actually was working on this while you were talking because I want to display it at some point this week. The trajectory, the line graph for the football team, not good.
Well, tell me real quick. Let's get something positive out there.
Okay.
The recruiting class.
Yeah.
Like, how good is it? I know it's very good, but like, is everybody still committed? It's my first question.
Yeah.
Right? Is it nobody's flipped?
Nobody's flipped yet, but Jamarian Carlton was at Texas this weekend.
Okay.
So, and how quickly these things can develop, right?
Dude,
so
especially today.
We're going to find out really quick. By the way, because I think Dr. Livingstone cited this in her letter. That is at least some of the motivation to keep this staff together. This is, I believe by the numbers, the second best recruiting class in school history. And it's the highest top ends, meaning like the 4 stars and the composite rankings of the top guys in this class, I think are the best Baylor's ever had.
Yeah.
So that's a credit. I mean, not only to Coach Aranda, but Keenan Hall, Aaron Hunt, Dallas Baker, the whole staff, right? Matt Powledge, excellent recruiter. Yeah. You got to get to signing day and get all these guys. And I'm not convinced. We'll see.
We'll see.
I struggle. If Baylor finishes the season 5-7, I struggle to see why all of those guys still come to Baylor. And maybe I'm missing something, but it's hard for me to wrap my brain around.
Yeah.
2, I'm going to be interested to see, Pete, if some of these really gifted assistant coaches don't use this extra year as a gift to jump ship. And I mentioned this to Mosley too. It is always a lot better for you to find your feet and maybe fill out your resume when you don't have to get fired.
Yeah.
And I will just share from my insight, knowledge, personal experience. Most people watching who've heard me talk can fill in the gaps. I personally know a Baylor assistant coach who did that 2 years ago. Left because the ship was going down and he wasn't going to get fired. Yeah. And he's having some success right now where he ended up. Here's what will be positive if we're going to take positives out of this, Baylor fans. If you can keep this class, it's a huge win. It is. And if Keenan Hall, Dallas Baker, Aaron Hunt are all in the building this spring, it's a huge win. It's a huge win because I'm telling you, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. Oh, they're all going to call these guys.
Well, and
I promise.
And imagine the negative recruiting you can do against Baylor. It's part of the business.
It is.
Like, look, man.
Listen, Tech is doing it now because James Blanchard, their GM, who's doing an excellent job, was at Baylor first, and Joey McGuire was obviously. And I don't think Joey McGuire is not going to publicly besmirch Baylor because I think he had a good experience. But in those recruits' houses, are you kidding me? Of course he's saying, look at what we're doing, guys. Look at what they've been since I left. Come play for me. And I don't know, if I were in high school, that pitch would probably work. It would probably work for me.
It's rough. It's rough when the school that you root for makes a decision where you really have to break out a shovel and a spotlight to find any kind of silver lining.
Yep.
And that's what I try to do. And this has made it difficult. The only thing I will say, and with this little thing, we'll start where we finish before we take a break. Hey, man, this is on Mac Rhodes. It is. And it's on him 1,000%. He got sideways. And I again, from a personal standpoint, I'm giving him a pass. I look forward to a comeback from Mac Rhodes where he is again a Power 5 AD of a school that is kicking ass. I will celebrate. I will be happy. I love Mac and I love comebacks. But you can't look further than that situation completely blowing up and taking the football program with it, at least temporarily. And that sucks. Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovakics. We're going to come back to a quick segment. I want to talk about my experience at UAB with that tragic situation unfolding and then calling the game. It was just strange, but it's certainly worth sharing on this show. And then we have like some real football info coming with Ian Beckles at 11 a.m. So stay with us. We'll take a break and be right back.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble does bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Oh, yeah. We love Underdog. Pete Sousa Show, Scotty Swingler. I play Underdog all the time, by the way. And, man, my college football picks, disappointing. I didn't get them right, man. I think Bear Bachmeier let me down by about 8 yards. And Sawyer only had one passing touchdown. Shocking. Truly, truly shocking. But that's okay. You know why, Pete? I'm going to make some money tonight. Here are my Underdog picks. Little Monday Night Football. Going to combo with some NBA action. Cade Cunningham. He's back from injury, playing well. This guy is a machine. And by the way, you know this about the Indiana Pacers. They push the ball. They play up tempo. So higher than 27.5 points for Cunningham. Money. He's going to get 30 some odd tonight. Brock Purdy against Carolina. Higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Listen, he's done that every game he's played this season. He's already done that. So, yeah, give me Purdy. Carolina's not good. And when they are good, they have to score a lot. And so the 49ers are going to score a lot. Kind of the same logic here as the Cunningham pick. I just think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And Purdy's balling, guys. I do not understand the Brock Purdy hate. Never have. Higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And then this one was a fun little addition. I was like, how do I round out this ticket here? Listen, Chuba Hubbard. His worst rushing game in the past 6 weeks was 14 yards. He is the backup. He is not going to get a lot of carries tonight, but he'll have higher than 9.5 rushing yards for the Carolina Panthers in that big game tonight. Those are my picks. Remember, on Underdog, you can do the flex picks, and if you get 2 out of 3, you still win money. Use that promo code Sousa. Get all that bonus cash with your first deposit.
And booyah, we will say, as the Stuart Scott 30 for 30 is coming out December 10th. Let me tell you, I cannot wait. Okay, want to talk a little bit about, by the way, you mentioned Chuba Hubbard. I remember I was calling an Oklahoma State game a couple years ago, and what's his face? Not Mike Leach, Mike Gundy. He was like, yeah, going to get the ball to Chuba. Kept saying Chuba. Oh, no, Chuba was gone. So he referred to him. Last year we had Chuba. Don't have Chuba anymore. I like when he talked about their guy, Rodriguez. They had another Rodriguez who played at Detroit. Like, miss Rodriguez. I'd be fun to see where he lands, dude. I mean, Mike Gundy's still out there. He's going to coach. By the way, Art Briles is back.
Yes,
Woo!
he is.
Man, we'll have to get to that too at some point. But I wanted to cover. It's almost like a therapy session for me because I really haven't talked to anybody at length about it. I've talked to people at ESPN. My boss is there, and I talked to my brother about it a little bit, but, Christy was with me. I had a game at UAB USF, which I was so stoked for because Byron Brown is an awesome quarterback for USF. And Alex Mortensen is the coach at UAB, obviously was a huge fan of Chris Mortensen, and I wanted to see him do well. And I was familiar with players from UAB, more so with players who left UAB, right? Like an Amari Thomas, who is with Houston now, who's having an amazing year. He was a great wideout at UAB. But I was excited for this game. And Friday we go to the walkthrough. Everybody is so awesome from UAB. We sit down with Alex Mortensen and Steve Russ, the defensive coordinator. Alex Mortensen right now is the OC, the quarterback's coach, and the head coach. And he's been doing it for 1 month. And the guy, let's just say, I don't think he is. If there's one thing he cut out of his program personally, it's sleep, right? And he was so cool and so transparent. You sit down with some of these guys sometimes and they'll give you a lot because that's their personality, or they'll give you a lot because they know how to play the game with TV. Some people won't give you anything, some of these coaches, just because it's just not in their nature and maybe they're more guarded. You take whatever you get if you're in my shoes, right? But you love guys like Alex Mortensen, who is just so transparent. I asked him, who have you talked to this this month, right? As you've taken over as head coach, because I knew he had coached for Nick Saban for 9 years as an offensive analyst, and before that, a grad assistant. And he said, well, the one thing he said, I know all the overarching themes from Coach Saban because I coach for the guy for 9 years. But we had a recent conversation where he said, time management's going to be your biggest thing. And, if somebody walks into your office, you want to keep that open door policy, but you need your coaches and your staff to operate with common sense and think to themselves before they walk through your door, can this wait for the staff meeting? Because if it can wait for the staff meeting, then you can handle it all there, right? And the head coach, in this case, Alex Mortensen, isn't late to getting to the staff meeting or late to watching film with the offensive coaches because he's had so many people come into his office. But he did talk about being a head coach. Like, I had been told that you're going to have this list of stuff to do and the day's going to end and you're not going to get any of it done because of all the stuff that pops up. He's like, that is the reality of this job. But he was awesome. We talked game plan, and you could tell that guy is going to be in our lives as an offensive innovator for a long time, for as far as I can see. And I look forward to that because you want to see great people succeed. And he's a really young, bright head coach. So I'm already invested because I like this dude. And USF is kind of like the bully on the block. I mean, if they had beaten Navy last week, they had a 50% chance of making the college football playoff. So I'm not necessarily worried about USF. I know they're going to come out and throw some real body blows and haymakers, but how is UAB going to do? Can they keep up with them? Well, I'm calling the game with Forrest Conley. We were at we're at walkthrough. Forrest is the man, and I'll talk about him, more later, and as it comes up in the story, but I do want to tell you, he's just a great dude. So we arrive at the stadium, and Christy's with me, right? Take your fiance to work. For her, unfortunately, or fortunately, was take your fiance to Birmingham, Alabama, right? So I was like, come on, come with me. Because I've had a bunch of trips this year and she hasn't come on any. And I wanted her to come. God forbid, I got a basketball game in Miami in a few weeks. God forbid I take her there. But I get to the stadium and a guy by the TV truck says to me, hey, did you know there was a stabbing at the football facility today? I'm like, what? And I'm thinking like, this guy's out of his mind. He's a lot of people's, you see the TV talent, you think you have news, you're going to tell them something interesting. And I was like, oh, wow. I definitely took him at his word, but I was like, let me get settled and get upstairs to the broadcast booth and see what's what. I get up to the broadcast booth. I put it into my phone. Sure as shit. I'll say that now. It's on AL.com, the Alabama, whether it's, I forget the name of the paper, but it was a legitimate publication that had reported that there was a stabbing that took place at the football facility like an hour before, right? This is now 11:30. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I see some support staff guys down on the field from the broadcast booth. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going downstairs. Like, this is now kind of out of body. I will say this. I was proud of this myself for this. So I go down to the field and I go over to these support staff guys. I identify myself as, look, I'm calling the game for ESPN. They don't know who I am. I'm not Sean McDonough, but I'm like, hey, I'm here to call the game for ESPN. I have a tie on. I have a suit on. So they believe me. And I was like, I'm here to celebrate the game and celebrate the university, but I'm seeing this report. Is there anything you guys can tell me? And, they hemmed and hawed for like 5 seconds. And then they told me, what had happened. And I was like, wow, they said that an incident from Friday at the walkthrough had bubbled up. And this is all from them. I don't have anything outside of that, right? Had bubbled up. And this morning at the facility, a guy stabbed this guy, this teammate. And then we get up to the booth and I share it with Forrest. And right away, we're like, okay, does this guy play? And the initial reaction was he does not play. And, we are in touch with people at ESPN and they were amazing because, you call the home office on a football Saturday. I'm reaching out to Sean Murphy, who's basically in charge of, the allotment of games like that I'm doing. And Sean's right, accessible. He gets in contact with Amanda Gifford, who oversees it all. She's accessible. They're working together and working with UAB as to how we handle this. Then it's brought to my attention that not only the guys who were involved in this, right, but also the players who witnessed it. They are now dealing with trauma, so now they are not going to play. So you're looking at like 6 or 7 defensive linemen who are not going to be on the field for this game. Already a game where, UAB was a super duper underdog. So I called my boss and I'm like, look, Sean, this is like really going to affect the outcome of the game, because at the end of the day, I'm not 60 minutes, dude. Like, I'm here to call a football game, and every fiber of my body at this phase of my life and having a little experience in the news business, like, I just know that I'm not going to tweet about this. I'm not going to take any pictures at the game. Like, I'm going to be a ghost. I'm going to do my job and report any facts that are given to me from legitimate sources, right? But in this situation, less is more. People are watching the game and they don't know if their son or maybe their nephew or somebody was involved in this. So you can't really start making broad statements, and you can't name any names because, I've done PR. I wanted to work with the university to do everything the right way. And I'll just tell you this, because I see we got Ian Beckles here and I don't want to make him wait, but it was the strangest game I have ever covered. Big time thoughts, but a lot of thoughts going to the folks at UAB. They were the heart they showed by playing that game because it was senior day. And I'll tell you, one of the cool things about this thing was there were guys who were crossed off the depth chart by their sports information director, like, hey, this guy's not going to play because he saw this go down and it's been too much for him. I don't want to get into some of the details, I know, because it's not for me to report, but I can just tell you it was a extremely dramatic and scary situation for the players involved who witnessed the whole thing. Very, very scary. Imagine just a really messy scene like that. And one guy who for a minute felt like he was clinging to life, right? Those guys were like, hey, we can't play. And then during the game, the SID will come up and say, hey, this guy is going to play and that guy is going to play. And those guys were out there playing because that's what they know how to do in a situation like that, right? And they lost the football game, but they won my heart. Like, the guys that went out there and played, and I'm thinking about everybody that was injured. And, at some point there'll be a 30 for 30 or an E60 or at least a decent story on this that breaks it all down. But I know we did the best we could to report the facts, but then still celebrate a football game. We had a lot of help from the folks at ESPN and the folks at UAB, but just a shitty, awful situation. And let's celebrate some football now. Ian Beckles, in the trenches pod, right? Also Brooks and Beckles. This guy's no joke, man. What's up, Ian? How's it going? Hey, I think you're muted, or I can't hear you on my end.
It was better?
Better. It's great, man. How you doing?
I'm well. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. I'm just telling the story. I called the game this week where that terrible incident happened between those football players at UAB. I'm not asking you to break any news or tell me any secret stories, but have you ever had a situation like that where you had an internal situation prior to a game where it maybe affected the mentality of the players, like the day of the game, a situation like that, which you had never seen coming?
I mean, maybe not as drastic as that. I've seen guys get DUIs before and stuff like that, and maybe affect the way they play, but not to that extent, though.
Yeah, it was a crazy, sad, strange situation. Let's move on now to stuff we can celebrate, which is your career, your shows, and the Indiana Hoosiers, man.
Yeah.
It is very cool to see how well they're doing. You go all the way back to like the Anthony Johnson days, right? You were part of that touchdown record. And I can remember, for me, really, that's what put Indiana football on the map. For you now, watching this team have great success, what does it do for you as an alum, and how invested are you right now?
I'm as invested as I've ever been, to be honest with you. Probably even more invested than when I was at Indiana. listen, Anthony Thompson was the second in the Heisman back in the day.
Anthony
and
Thompson, I got his name,
yeah,
but thank you.
that's all good.
Yeah.
Listen, Anthony Thompson was second in the Heisman back in the day, but we didn't get the kind of coverage that this Indiana Hoosier team has been getting, and justifiably so. Listen, last year they had a great year, and I kind of jumped on board. I was always been a Hoosier fan, but they got all the recognition last year, and I thought they were good last year. But this year they're legitimately good. I'm not sure they're not the best team in the country at the moment.
Yeah, so you watch them play now, and it seems like also, I as somebody who's at 30,000 feet, I thought last year, okay, let's see what they do this year, right? But it's clear, dude, that they got the momentum and they got the horses. Like, as somebody who's close to the situation, like, how good does it feel, and what do you think about their ability to sustain this going forward, to become, with this new era of college football, part of the fabric of success that we talk about and watch every weekend?
Well, the last year had the first playoffs, and Indiana was part of it. And they're going to be part of this one as well. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Last year, I thought they had a great year, but I just don't think they were still as good as some of the other teams. I thought Michigan was better than them up front. So was Ohio State. But I don't think Indiana's scared of anybody right now. To go into Oregon and demolish them, and to see what they did to Illinois, and they just don't look scared of anybody right now. And definitely not Purdue, that's for sure.
Definitely not Purdue. Do you think this is a team that can win the national championship?
I do. And like last year, once again, I thought it was a great story, but it was just a story. This year, I don't think it's a story. I just think that Cignetti's bringing in people who are believing. And I mean, what else do you need to see? I mean, they're demolishing everybody that goes in front of them. So it doesn't matter what I say. Indiana's a legitimate football team, that's for sure.
All right. Well, the Eagles, very legitimate football team, ran into some trouble yesterday. You were a member of the Eagles when they would have some of the best dogfights with the Dallas Cowboys, right, in the mid to later 90s. That game yesterday, it was really interesting to see Dallas's defense rise to the occasion. But the Eagles offense, if there's one thing they're missing, it's dudes like you in the trenches right now this year. They're not as good as they were last year. Is that something that can rectify itself as the season goes on? Or when you watch your former team, do you see, okay, this is a glaring part of their offense that they're missing this year?
Well, last year when you watched this Eagles team, it doesn't matter who they were playing; they were a handful. This year, you're seeing some liabilities on this team, and other than the tush push, they don't have a lot else going on this year. And when you watch them, it doesn't look right. And they're winning games, that's fine, but you watch the Eagles, they just don't look like they looked last year. When you watch that game yesterday, championship teams don't. When you're up 21-0, that game is over. Okay, so like the Dallas Cowboys, you got to give them their props for coming back. But like I said, championship teams, they don't give up the booty, and especially rivalry games like that. I've lost some tough games, but that one hurt the Eagles for sure.
When you look at Saquon Barkley, I'm curious to get your take on this because you play with great running backs and you follow the game now like you do with your show In the Trenches and Brooks and Barrett, or Brooks and Beckles. What do you think about when you look at Saquon Barkley? Like, has he lost a step? Because I think, like, if you just lose a smidgen, right? Like in the NFL, that makes you vulnerable. It brings you back down to mortality. Has he slowed down at all, or is it strictly the offensive line?
I think it's a little of both. I just don't think running backs last very long in the NFL, and Saquon Barkley is an anomaly as it is because he started off well. He kind of came back down to earth. Then he catapulted again, won a Super Bowl. Now he's coming back down to earth again. Usually running backs don't even get that chance. He doesn't look the same this year as he did last year. Neither does the offensive line. But you just can't expect running backs to last long. I mean, here in Tampa Bay, everybody was so excited about Bucky Irving at the beginning of this year, and I just said, don't get too attached. He's a little bitty running back, and he played 4 or 5 games, and then he's out. So as long as Saquon Barkley's playing, that's a good thing, but you just can't expect that much from a running back in 2025 anymore.
All right, let's get to the Bucks. What have you seen from them? I mean, clearly shot out of a cannon this year, and you're somebody who sees the forest through the trees, right? You've been around this a long time. They have sort of come back down to earth. When you look at the team, what do you look for them to do, in this latter stage of the season to emerge as a real contender?
Well, if you listen to my show, Ian Beckles' show, which you can get on YouTube, from the beginning of the season, okay, the Buccaneers started off at 6-1. They're doing everything's amazing, and they're the best team in the NFL, and they're the team to beat. Even when they're at their peak of this year, I was questioning that what was going on because I kept on asking, what's their identity? And when you're winning football games, you can win football games, but if you don't develop an identity, you're not going to continuously win football games. So, like, they run the football well one week, the next week they don't. Then they rush the passer well, the next week they don't. And they weren't doing things consistently. And when they were winning, I just kept on saying, well, enjoy the winning while you can, because it's going to stop unless they start running the ball consistently, unless they start protecting the passer better, unless they start rushing the passer better. And they didn't do that, and then they started to lose games. So it's not rocket science. You got to do a few things well to continuously win football games, and the Bucs just aren't a consistently talented football team this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield, like, what are your thoughts on him as far as being a guy who can will a team to some of those tougher victories in the playoffs? Is he a guy, if you were under center, he's looking you all in the eyes down the stretch, and there's an extra piece of motivation? Or is he a guy that maybe someone with your experience sees, maybe this dude doesn't have it to turn the corner?
No, I think Baker Mayfield has it. I mean, that's that leadership quality. Does he have it enough to go 17 weeks and then be a leader and then another 3-4 weeks in the playoffs? I mean, that's yet to be seen. Baker Mayfield, beginning this year, the first 7 weeks of the season, was the best football player on the planet. And then he ran into reality, and reality is your body. And you just can't continuously lower your head. Like I said, running backs don't last. Well, quarterbacks don't last that don't protect themselves. And he wasn't protecting himself. And I think we saw yesterday the results of quarterbacks that don't protect themselves. And there was a big difference between the Baker Mayfield in the first 7 weeks and then in the next 3-4 weeks, because he just wasn't able to do those things. So even in those victories beginning of the season, when he was running and lowering his head and doing all these Superman type things, once again, I was like, enjoy it, but it doesn't last. Like, other than Cam Newton, nobody's done that. Gone through a football season as a quarterback and lowered their head and did all these things and lasted. And Cam Newton ran out of gas in the Super Bowl, obviously.
Yeah, what do you think about that? The toll that some of these players take, and that's another thing I want to ask you about, is just your body today and some of the stuff you guys went through and had to do to play. But like, when you look at some of these players, I feel the same exact way you do, right? And you're somebody who's forgotten more than me about football, like more than I know. Like, when you absorb that type of contact every single week and you're somebody who totes the ball, there's no way you can be expected to keep that level of participation up, right?
Well, the game has changed a lot. Okay. If you remember back to when I played in the 90s and, even before that, you remember, Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton and Barry Sanders and running backs. They didn't have backups. They didn't have third down backs. They just had one running back and they just went at it. The game is completely different. Every team has numerous running backs, and you have short yardage running backs and third down running backs. And it just, those running backs that last 12 years, it just doesn't happen anymore. And if you last 4 years now as a running back, you're a Hall of Famer, because none of them really, they don't last anymore. Other than Derrick Henry, everybody's kind of come and gone. Christian McCaffrey, he's kind of come in and out. But other than that, there's nobody out there. And I see people, drafting running backs in the first round, like Genty and stuff. I would never, ever, 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 ever. I don't care what you did in college. I would never draft a running back in the first round anymore. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and honestly, like, we can kind of go back to like the Saquon thing. It's kind of, as an Eagles fan, it's sort of scary for me. Like, I'm like, oh man, like, 20-something carries, or 20-something carries for whatever, 20 yards or whatever it was yesterday. I was like, man, like, and it's been like that all year. You know what I mean? It's not like this is a one-off, because I understand how those happen. Yeah, the running back thing is so interesting. Where do you think the Bucs can go this year? How far do you think they can go?
I think they've gone already. I'll be honest with you. I think they've gone as far as they like. It's sad because, you know, watching this team do what they did in the first 6-7 weeks of the season was fun to watch, but they've run out of gas. I mean, when they got trounced last night. That was not a close game. Okay, wasn't even as close as the trouncing. And if you watch at the battles in between the battles, they didn't come close in many of the battles yesterday. Whether it be special teams, offense, defense, in the trenches, it doesn't matter. And they didn't look good. And they didn't look like they did anything yesterday or the previous 3 weeks to make me think that they could win a bunch of games on the back end of the season, regardless who we play. So everybody's excited about getting Bucky Irvin back. That's great, but Bucky Irvin can't rush the passer. And we got more than one issue here in Tampa Bay, unfortunately.
When you talk about your career and how much different it was for the running backs, it was same for the dudes like you. You guys were gladiators, right? And you did whatever you could to get on the field, right? It's changed now. People are more thoughtful. They're smarter about their bodies. I know you're a marijuana advocate. Like, back in the day when you were playing, what was that like? Like, as far as keeping yourself healthy, like, and the lengths that you went to get out on the field, like how hard was that for you at times as a guy who was constantly trying to make an impact and remain on the team?
Well, some things change and some things will remain the same. I mean, as far as the gladiator part of it, I understand that, just looking at Gladiator in the movie and football, there's some similarities there. I get it. But football's the same. It doesn't change, right? Because in order to just play every week, there's got to be a little bit of gladiator in it, okay? Because, we were just talking about Baker Mayfield earlier. Like, Baker Mayfield's no more injured than the right guard, and Baker Mayfield is no more injured than the left inside tackle. Everybody's injured. You just got to figure out a way to play. And nobody really cares that you're injured. They're hoping that you play on Sunday and hoping that you play well. So the gladiator thing, you don't have time to be called gladiator. You just got to show up on Sunday and play, and just, whether you get credit or not, it's all good. But I just don't think there's enough time to call anybody gladiator. It's a gladiator sport. That's part of it.
So what did you have to do to try to stay on the field?
What did I have to do?
Yeah.
Whatever necessary. And now that I'm 58 years old, I look back at one of the things that I did do when I was 23, 24 years old, and it looks nonsensical. And I don't know if you can be an older person and do that, because I think, I have too much sense now. And when you're young, you just don't have any sense, and you do whatever you can to stay on the football field. And, it's your dream to play in the NFL. And at the time, you're not thinking about anything else but playing on the field. So it's hard to explain what it was like playing every Sunday, because it doesn't look like it makes sense anymore now that I'm getting older.
What would your message be to some of the younger players of today who are, maybe putting themselves long-term at risk just for a couple more games?
I wouldn't have any message at all. I really wouldn't, because as much as I know now at 58, if you go back to me at 22, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, what am I going to change? I played 9 years in the league. I'm going to do whatever I can to play every Sunday. That's not going to change. You can tell a player anything you want, but it's not going to make him play Sunday. It's not going to make him think about his career afterwards. That's all going to be like an inside thing. And in order to play every Sunday, you got to have a different mentality. And if you don't have that mentality, it won't matter anyways.
How quickly did you notice that, like when you're growing up in Montreal, and you end up coming to America playing football, like when did you know that you had it, that you were the kind of athlete and competitor that could play in the NFL and last in the NFL?
I still don't know. I mean, it's funny because, I got drafted in the 5th round. I ended up playing 9 years in the league. Every year that I came out, I had to fight for my job. Every year, it seemed like they wanted to replace me. Nobody was ever happy with a 6'1" guard. So I just fought for my life for my whole career. So it would have been nice to be a 6'7" first round pick that was handed everything. But I think in the long run, you're better off, being that, undersized guy that nobody really was depending on, and kind of overachieved. So, you're looking back at my career and what I've achieved. I'm very proud of what I've achieved. And nothing was ever given to me, So I would have liked some stuff given to me, but it just didn't turn out that way.
No, but you mentioned it. You're the guy you are today because you weren't entitled, because you didn't have stuff handled to you. Where can people find you? Where can people watch In the Trenches? Same as, is that the Ian Beckles show, In the Trenches, or are they different?
Yeah, they're pretty much they've turned into the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been on the radio for many years now. I just kind of pop in and out of different shows, and I've turned into the Ian Beckles show pretty much on YouTube. Ian Beckles show on Instagram, and I just dabble in different things. But we talk about the Bucks and whatever was going on, and I got some other interests. I got a kava bar here in Tampa. I'm into cannabis, and there's different things I like to dabble in as I get older.
The kava bar, that's still open, right? That's
Yeah.
down there. Yeah, that's been open for a while, dude.
I've been 4 years. We just had a 4-year anniversary. I'm sitting in the Dignitary Kava Bar right now, and if you're in town, come hang out.
You got it, man. Ian, man, thanks so much for taking the time, dude. I appreciate you, everything you've done in your career, and yeah, man, it's all good, man. I appreciate you.
Anytime, brother. Be good.
All right, take care. Ian Beckles right there. There he goes. Always cool to get insight on, what it actually takes to be a guy who played 9 years, in the league. That's a hell of an accomplishment. And he's, I've been told by folks down in Tampa that, and I just witnessed that he is quite the personality. He's a compelling dude. We'll step aside, take a break. We're presented by Slovacics. The Pete Sousa Show back after this to wrap it up.
With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business.
But boy, it looked effortless.
Man, watch this.
Layups, floaters, threes. He was like an unsolvable equation.
I was born like this.
His resilience, his strength, his belief, adversity never stood a chance.
Know your power.
VivoSun's mission is to empower growers with stylish and effective products, making indoor growing accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Visit vivosun.com today and get started making growing plants and vegetables easy and automatic.
WhyPersonalLoans.com. Request a loan anytime. Our partners can offer loans up to $35,000 with varying rates and terms. Review your loan offer with no obligation and decide what works for you. Visit PersonalLoans.com today.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on their screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
It's the Pete Sousa Show.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with scratch defense non-stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
I am obsessed with helping business owners increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. It's this amazing platform where people are looking for ideas, inspiration. They have a problem and they're actively looking for a solution.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
The Pete Sousa Show is back. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks to Ian Beckles for joining us. We are going to wrap up this show by we're going to dispense a little information about former Baylor head coach Art Briles. Now, Art Briles, in his late 60s, has been hired by Eastern New Mexico to be their head football coach. Now we know, Art was here a little bit ago in Central Texas at the the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, where they had a luncheon for him. It was like the attendance was amazing. And apparently it was, good vibes all around. So that was like the last I'd heard of Art. I've heard nothing but great things about this guy as a person. We can talk all day long about the transgressions of the program under him and, his culpability there. Bottom line is today he's getting another shot, right? Now, Eastern Mexico, I just want to give you a little info about this school because I figured if I don't know it, maybe you don't either. So this is a Division II school. And it is and this is a place I've never been to, and I've been to a couple places in New Mexico. It's in Portales, New Mexico. And like I mentioned, they compete in the Division II, on the Division II level. Their conference is called the LSC Conference. Here's their schedule. These are the teams they play. So they played New Mexico Highlands, Colorado Mesa, Angelo State, and Midwestern State, right? Some teams in Texas, Western Oregon, West Texas A&M. So Permian Basin, right? Now, I'll be so interested to see how he uses this opportunity because if you remember in 2018, 19, Art couldn't even get hired as the assistant coach at Grambling State without an absolute coup being thrown for him to get, jettisoned from that position before really he ever started. And, he coached in Italy for a couple years. I know he went back to high school and coached there, but now he's getting a shot on the college level. And it will be very interesting to see because on the Division II level, with his intellect and innovation, I would not be shocked at all if he takes a team that I'm looking at it right now that is 3-8 this year, and I'm guessing their season is over. It is. They lost 45-28 to Texas A&M Kingsville on Saturday. Actually, Saturday, November 15th, so 2 Saturdays ago. So he'll have an opportunity to turn this program around. And what the hell happens if he does? Like, is it then a group of 5 school? Like, does he have enough left in the tank? He certainly looks, I think he does his best to kind of look like, you know, an older, wiser guy. But like, I think if you were to, you know, get him to shave and cut the old hair, like, I think he's in great shape. And I'm not saying that he is short on time, because we see now guys that coach, you know, into their late 70s, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun to see where this ride takes him. And it is also nice to see because, you know, time and healing takes time. It's not, I don't know if nice is the word. I guess it's yeah, it is nice to see that, you know, there's a healing that's been done here on both sides. He is now has an opportunity to move in another direction, and actually coach in America on the collegiate level. And, you know, if he can turn that around, is this a guy who we could see back on the sidelines on the Division I level? I would say yes. You know, obviously it's got to be the right situation, but, you know, we run around here, myself, right? When I call a game and you evoke his name, talking about these fast break offenses that we see every Saturday and how good they are. And we say an Art Briles style offense, the guy's not dead. You know, he's still alive and he's still able to coach the Art Briles offense. He's Art Briles. So another shot for him. Be interested to see how it works out. We'll keep an eye on it. Any more information, we'll share it with you. We'll be back here tomorrow, right in this studio as we get set for Thanksgiving. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It is a terribly stormy and rainy day here in Central Texas. Scotty loves it. He just said, I love the thunder. I love the lightning. He's over there writing poetry, drinking like 2 fingers of Glenlivet, you know, just doing his thing as like a beatnik with his big beard. I'm kidding. He's not drinking yet. But yeah, that's it for Scotty, for Liz, for me, for Chris Visser. We say thank you very much. Also, thanks to Ian Beckles. Make sure you check him out on the Ian Beckles show in the trenches. I get that when he was like, yeah, it's all become one. Yeah, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.